Hello, my name is Travorce Carnes. I am the moderator for Allison James, and today we'll be covering the How to Create a Listing Bank webinar. Welcome to the webinar. Let's begin. I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little about Allison James. Allison James was founded in 2008 by Mr. James Crumbaugh. He had a belief that the internet and mobile technology would fundamentally change the relationship between brokers and realtors. He was so convicted about this belief that he sold all 6 of his successful Prudential franchises in 2007. When he started the company, he started with this concept. He said, when I started this company, my goal was to attract the top 2% of realtors in the country, and that's exactly what we're doing today. Allison James has more top 10 realtors than any other company in the country. In 2012's list of RealTrends Power Brokers, they were ranked 101 and 103 on that list. Allison James is currently operating in 15 states, and they have over 700 realtors. Our speaker for today is Mr. Jeff Green, the managing broker for Allison James in Northern California. I now yield the floor to Mr. Jeff Green.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. I'm really excited about being here with you today because the topic that we're going to be talking about is relevant to where we are in today's market. We are actually, in most markets in this country, in a very major transition from being in a foreclosure-driven market to an equity sales-driven market. And wherever you are, this transition is either about to happen if you're on the trailing edge of the change, or you're in the middle of it happening right now, or it's just happened, it's just finished, and you're now freshly in an equity-driven market. So what does this mean? It means that past clients are still waiting to qualify to purchase again. There's a lot of buyers out there that cannot buy. And with recent changes, as you well know, with FHA, some of them can buy a lot quicker. Some of your sellers are beginning to have equity again. But due to economic and market issues, databases of agents that the agent has, databases of actionable clients are at an all-time low. What do we mean by this? Because some people don't have equity yet. Some people are not ready to buy. The database that you have in a that you would normally have in a traditional market isn't there. So we're in a place now where we're going to have to create that. So what are we going to do about it? We need to understand the change of mindset that's occurred in home buyers. And I face this on a regular basis as I meet with my agents locally, or we have mastermind groups, or sometimes I get a call from one of the agents that's in my company, and they say, what's going on with buyers right now? Buyers, the way they approach real estate has changed, and the way sellers present properties has changed. Price is no longer the most important factor. As you know, during the foreclosure market, everybody was competing to get the cheapest price on a house, and they were racing to avoid the possibility that they'd buy a house that would lose even more value. But now issues like quality and location and future value and long-term stability are much more important, and it's critical that agents know how to address this. People are thinking for the long haul once again, and it's really a great thing. Properties should be marketed accordingly, and agents need to be ready to address these issues with buyers and sellers. So let's talk about what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn some low-cost ways to get listings to chase you rather than you chasing them. Now that's a great change. I was told in the beginning of my real estate career that you start your career by chasing the business, and after you've been in long enough, the business starts chasing you. And a lot of us look forward to that, but there was an interruption in that because a lot of the people that we've sold properties for are out of the market now, or they've moved away. They've short sold. They're gone. We're also going to talk about how to build a turbocharged referral system to get your listings. And this is a theme that's going to run in and out throughout our conversation today. How to turbocharge, and when I say turbocharge, add some extra power, because it's very tedious to just work with a low-powered referral system. You want something that's going to bring you business in a powerful way, in a strong way, and make you feel really good that the time you're spending is going to have leverage results. We're also going to learn some guerrilla tactics for opportunistic prospecting. And before anybody forms in their mind what a guerrilla tactic is, I know you're not a bunch of monkeys, and it's not about being silly, but it's actually, this term comes from the guerrilla marketing series of books where people actually have learned to market in an asymmetric fashion. In other words, just like a guerrilla warfare environment, you can use inexpensive and effective methods that can outpace your competition, who may have a lot more money, experience, or time in the business than you, but you can learn some techniques that will help you to prospect effectively. In other words, you can do an end run around your competition. We're going to talk about how to build your database with little or no money. And then we're going to wrap up with some black belt strategies to place you ahead of people with greater experience and more money. So let's talk about starting from zero or very little. Maybe you've never listed a home. Maybe you're new in the industry, or you started when the market was permeated with REO listings, and very few people could get an REO listing. It was the market of the amount of marketable listings was held by just a few people in the industry. So maybe you've never listed a home. Maybe you've only been a buyer's agent. Maybe it's been a long time since you had a really strong listing inventory. Maybe you've only listed a few homes over the years, and maybe what you did in the past is not working now, or you just want to list a whole lot more homes. And we're going to talk about these things, and that's going to be the benefits. So if you're starting from zero today, and you say, well, I don't know how I'm going to make it or what I'm going to do, I want to assure you today that there are some practical, actionable principles that you can put into your business and into your business plan for 2014, where starting from zero is really going to be irrelevant. In fact, it might even help you. So let's talk about low-cost ways to become a home value expert. That's the first thing that you're going to want to do. You need to become the go-to person for several hundred people that need to know what their home is worth. You might say, wow, several hundred people. Well, I'm going to talk about how to do that today. You need to define and promote this ability over and over again. People need to know that that's exactly what you do. You can tell them, I'm a real estate agent. This is what I do. Well, exactly what do you do in real estate? One of the most important things I do is I help people know what their home is worth so they can make decisions and be able to do the right things with their equity and with their money and with their future. You need to also be able to demonstrate why people need a custom valuation of their property. We're going to talk about that in a minute, that you're competing with automated valuations, and you need to be able to set yourself apart. And you also need to make it very easy for people to find you. So let's talk about the first technique. You need to learn to compete and differentiate yourself from automated home valuations like Zillow's Zestimate. Now, Zestimate has become a household word. What you're going to need to learn to do is create your own and promote it. For example, in my real estate practice, I came up with the term Jefftimate. I took my name, J-E-F-F, and I truncated estimate, and I put it together, and now I have a domain name, jefftimate.com. And it's kind of funny, but it's catchy. And I'm going to talk to you about how I did this and give you some pointers, and I want to encourage you to feel free to go to my site and steal my lingo and make it your own. You're more than welcome to do that if it will help you, or come up with your own or use it as a reference point. So I have a website. many websites actually, but one of the ones I use is called livecentralvalley.com, and one of the pages on my site is a page that explains how to get a valuation on your home. And I just basically tell people, if you're looking for a custom valuation of your home as opposed to an automated computer-generated estimate, you need a Zestimate. And I basically tell them I'm going to personally analyze sales and take into account your property condition, assess local trends, and it's an alternative to a Zestimate. And I have the link on my site that links right to Zestimate, the Zestimate page, the back page in the Zestimate section of Zillow that explains their margin of error. So that's a great selling point for me. So what I've done with this is I put it on Facebook. I encourage you to do the same thing. Come up with a Facebook quote that you can use, perhaps a statement that will bring people to this site and show them exactly what you do. One of the statements I make is, tired of guesstimates and zestimates on your home's value? Contact me for a Zestimate. A Zestimate is a custom home valuation report. It's free and with no obligation. And so I recommend that you post something like this once a week. Put it out there and change the verbiage. You don't have to do it every day, but put it out there once a week and let people know that you can do that. I have several people in my database now that are a result of people in my Facebook stream knowing that they can come to me and land on this site. So that's one technique you can use. And even if you don't have a website, which I think you should, they're very inexpensive now. You can get sites for well under $100 that have IDX feed and all that. But even if you don't, you can offer low-cost ways to become a home value expert. You can offer things to your potential audience. First of all, you can offer valuations on your business card. Just a statement on the back of your card, something like, the market has changed. Would you like to know the new value of your home or your home's new value? You can share what you do at social events. You get around people. People say, well, what do you do? Wow, did you know? I'm in real estate. You know, I just found out there's a house in my neighborhood that's gone up 25% in the last year. Have you ever looked into what your home's worth? Flyer drops, dropping flyers on doors, and if you're interested in what to use on that and you want to contact me, I can give you an example of a flyer that I use, that I just put it on people's door, and it causes people to give me a call. Another thing that you can do is door knock around new listings. If a home comes on the market, you can go and you can knock on the doors around it, you know, close enough that people know where the house is, and say, hey, this house just came on the market down the street. It doesn't matter if it's your listing. It doesn't even matter if it's the listing from another broker. You can knock around that door and around that house, and you can knock on the door and you can say, hey, I'm Jeff Green with Allison James Estates and Homes, and this house just came on the market for $350,000. Do you know it sold last for $290,000? Have you ever considered moving, and have you ever considered what your home is worth, and begin to dialogue with them and find out if they may want to move right away, but if they don't, you can capture them as a lead and begin to provide them a constant update once a quarter on what their home is worth. You can door knock around listings that have sold and tell people what they sold for and see if you can do the same thing. So you should tell your friends, your family, everyone you know, including Aunt Matilda, I don't care who it is, that you help people know what their home is worth. You just let them know, let them pass the word around for you, and they can actually begin broadcasting your services to others, because people appreciate knowing what their home's worth. Let them know that it's valuable whether they plan on selling, staying, or refinancing. But you want to be the go-to person, because a satisfied homeowner that knows what their home's worth and knows that you're the source of that, they're going to begin to tell everybody they know that you can help them. So what do you do when a home valuation is requested? the very first thing you're going to do, obviously, that I hate to put this out to you, but it goes without saying, capture their contact information, their email, their phone number, social media. The great thing about getting their email address is everybody's email address is unique. You can put it into Facebook. Find them on Facebook. Sometimes you can find out a lot about their home by just going on Facebook. You can see the inside pictures of their house when they have a party or an activity. So use social media to vet them and learn about them, but also send them a friend request. See, you might be able to make friends with them. Secondly, send them an email when they call you and contact you. Send them an email asking for features and info on their house. And I'm going to make an important point here. Sometimes people will say, hey, I'd like to have the value of my home. Here's my email address. And you spend 30 minutes or more doing a CMA, and you send them the email and it bounces. So the first thing I do is I send them an email asking for features and information on their house, and I use a tracking program called Yesware. So I know if they open that email, if they open the email, I'm happy, but if they open it and reply to it, I'm really happy. But if they open it and they don't reply to it, I'm going to be a little cautious because they may not respond to another email, or they may just open it and reply to it 2 or 3 days or a week later. That gives you a gauge on how motivated they are about their home valuation. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, but you should make some notes as to how they acted. If somebody opens your email, you get a notification that the email was opened, and 30 seconds later you get an email back saying, hey, I've got a pool and we did this to the house and we've added this feature, I would stop what you're doing and immediately get their home valuation to them, and then you'll do the second part, which we'll talk about in a minute after they get the valuation. So the next thing you do is you prepare a thorough MLS report with graphics and price analysis, and tell them this is part one of the home value analysis, and then send an email. I'm going to show you an email that I send. It's not, before it comes up on the screen, I want to let you know that this email that you're going to see right now is really long. Now, the reason it's really long is because I've tried to put everything in it that you could possibly use. I'm not suggesting that you send somebody an email that's this long, but you use some of the features of it. And after we show you the email, I'm going to give you the opportunity to contact me, and I'll provide you a copy of it so you can use it as a template if you want to use it for your own outreach to people when you're doing a market analysis. But here's an important point. When you send them the CMA, very important point, you want to differentiate that this is not the end of it. This is step one. So the email goes like this. Please see the attached comparative market analysis. This is the first of 2 steps to determine the market value of your house. The second step is for me to see the house and evaluate, based on my experience in selling houses, how the features and conditions of the house affect its value. The valuation I'm presenting in this email is incomplete and is only an average until I can see the house. In the second step of the valuation process, I will take detailed notes and make assessments of value, as well as provide suggestions for low-cost, high-return improvements, if necessary, that you can do to your house in preparation for their sale. My experience in this area comes from working on residential flips with investors who attempt to maximize their margins. We can employ the same strategies for the sale of your house in order to increase profits with the least expense. And then here's the little, according to public records, your house is blank square feet. Comparable listings are pulled from a blank mile radius, and are homes that are no more than blank percentage larger or smaller. And then you basically give them the numbers. And then you follow up with, because of your home's unique features, it may have a much higher value than the average comparable sold property. When we talk next, I'd like to discuss a strategy to dramatically exceed the average sale price in the neighborhood. When is a good time for us to meet to discuss the sale of your house and for me to complete my market analysis? So you may go, wow, that's a lot. Well, it did several things. One, it opened the door for you to have their door open to you. You don't want to just peel off a bunch of CMAs to everybody in the world. without asking for business. And before you ask for business, you need to ask for an appointment. A CMA in an email is pretty good. It's a good start, but it's not, that's kind of a base hit. It's not a home run. A home run's getting the listing, but you want to be able to go the distance. So if you want a copy of this, I'm going to leave this slide up here for just a few moments. You can get a hold of me in any one of these methods here and ask for a copy of this and other information that's going to be presented today. One of the things I thoroughly enjoy is helping agents maximize their potential in their business. So I'd love to talk to you about what I can do to help you and share with you some very important information. But this email, it opens the door for you to have an appointment. It tells them that the CMA is incomplete, you need to see them, and it gives you the opportunity to say, look, I'd like to come and meet with you and figure out how we can maximize the value of your home, not just sell it, but I'm genuinely interested in the value of your property. Now, if they say, well, I'm not selling, then you can say, well, that's fine. A lot of people aren't. But wouldn't it be helpful if I could give you a quarterly update on your home's worth? Now, this is where it gets real exciting, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But let's move on to what to do when you communicate with them. You want to close for an appointment. You want to get in the house. And when you go there, take a clipboard, take lots of notes, ask lots of questions. There's something magical about looking somebody in the eye and saying, so you put new tile on the floor. When did you do that? Did you do that yourself? Did you have it done with a contractor? It looks fantastic. And you write it down. There's something about the attentiveness of somebody that's taking notes in a conversation. You look them in the eye, you take the information, thank you, this is going to be part of your evaluation that we're doing on your property. And then that enables you, as you begin to ask questions, if you want to close somebody for the listing, you begin by a series of questions. If you ask somebody cold, you walk in their house and say, when are you planning on moving and would you like to list the house? They're probably not going to answer it right away. They're probably going to lock up. But if you've lubricated the conversation with friendly chat, with asking a number of questions, you've already paced them towards the mode of the conversation, which is questions. You just move that question from a question about the house to a question about their plans for the future. And by that time, you've established dialogue. Next point, if they absolutely do not want to sell, tell them that's perfectly fine. One of the free services I offer is a home valuation once a quarter. Now that I've seen your home, why don't I update you quarterly? And I've never had anybody tell me no. Well, I don't want to know what my house is worth in 3 months. Why would I want to know that? No, it's a no-brainer. You can tell them I can send it to you via email, and it's going to be great. So schedule them on your calendar to follow up in 80 days. Why do I say 80 days? Because in 90 days it's due. So give yourself a little lead time just in case your schedule gets busy or whatever. Don't schedule it on the day that it's due. And then send them a new equity update. Notice those words, equity update. The homeowner doesn't know what a CMA is. Hi, would you like a CMA? Well, what is that? Would you like an equity update? I'm going to update you on the equity of your home. Ask them when you give them the equity update, who do you know who would like to get an equity update? I tell them, hey, I can do a Zestimate for you. People start laughing about it. You come up with your own brand for your market analysis. And tell them, one of the free services I offer is a presentation of possible ways to leverage your home's equity. Can I come by and drop you a report? I can bring you a net sheet from the title company. I can show you options for investing. Here you move from just a binary relationship of providing the market analysis and a few bits of information to multiple options. Now, I'm sure you're well aware that the more options people have to do a real estate transaction, the more likely they are that you're going to get one from them. They may not want to move, but they may want to know that, wow, now I have $100,000 in equity. I could get a line of credit and put a substantial down payment on another property that becomes a rental. You just found yourself some business. So continue to follow up like a machine. You now have a conveyor belt that will bring you listings, buyers, and referrals, but it has to be maintained. This will enable you to build your turbocharged referral system. Make sure that you have fun, you're not overly serious about it, you're not hard selling these people, but building the right communication and the right relationship with them will result in them wanting to do business with you. And more than that, you will become their personal home valuation expert. So let's move to guerrilla tactics to get listings. A lot of people are sitting back concerned, and I deal with this with agents I talk to all the time. They say, hey Jeff, what am I going to do? I don't have any money, or I have very little. I don't want to spend a lot of money on my listings, on acquiring listings. I don't want to. I don't want to fail at this, but I don't even know where to start. Should I spend a lot of money on marketing and web stuff? But let me tell you some guerrilla tactics that cost very little or no money. First thing you can do is go to homes that sold in the sweet spot. What do I mean by the sweet spot? The time in our market after the foreclosure market started that was where it was low enough that now they have equity. And go to the home. If it's one you really want to list, go to the home and bring a net sheet. I did this recently. I visited a house that was 2 doors down from the exact model that was listed by another agent. And before that agent had time to go to that house, I showed up with a net sheet. I pulled their information off the public records. I found out how much they financed on the house, and I explained their equity position. And I asked him, have you considered selling? And the guy said, yes, I plan on selling my house soon. Now, I don't have him listed yet, but I'm visiting him once a month with an update. And it's real easy. I just put him on my route. Whenever I'm not part of town, I drive by, pop in. I asked him, have you considered selling with another agent? These people have it listed. Oh, no, I don't want to work with them. I said, great. I'll be happy to help you. And when that time comes, I want to apply for the job of being your agent. You know how much money that cost me? A little bit of money to print it out on paper, a little bit of gasoline to drive over there. Very simple. Find homes, walk right up to them. If they say, absolutely not, I don't want to sell, well, wouldn't it be helpful if I kept you updated once a quarter? And let me put you at ease. I expect nothing back except the opportunity to apply for the job of being your agent when the time comes. You put them at ease. There's no pressure. They don't worry that you're going to hard sell them, but you know what they're going to do? People take the path of least resistance, and they're attracted to the level of highest service. You'll have them if you do that. Second thing is adopt the buyer of listings that you've sold in the past. So a lot of houses were sold by REO agents, or they were sold by, or you sold them in an REO situation, or it's a buyer of a house that somebody else sold and they're not even around anymore, or they don't care about their past client, or they're lazy. It's very easy to look up properties that were sold 4 or 5 years ago and just go to the door and say, hi, I'm Jeff Green with whatever company. I'm with Allison James Estates and Homes, and I noticed that you bought this house for $200,000. I was just checking the values of homes in the community, and if I were to list your house today, I'd list it for $325,000. Have you considered moving? When are you planning on moving? And begin to dialogue with them. And you'll find people out of that group that are ready to sell. You'll also find people that you'll begin a dialogue with and a relationship with. But out of that group of people, some of them are ready to sell. They just haven't found the right agent. because somebody hasn't reached out to them. Thirdly, adopt the buyer of company listings that were sold in the past. It could be somebody that bought a house that was sold by your company. You just say, well, our company sold this house to you, and I've been delegated the task of following up. And delegated by who? Delegated by me. You know, they're not going to ask you that question. Delegate yourself as the customer service representative of your company for all the listings that were sold in the past. If the agent isn't following up, if the agent is following up on them, you'll know it when you go to the door. And you can do that with any listing, doesn't matter what company it is. Adopt the buyer of any listing sold that now has equity. That's our fourth point here. The buyer of any listing that now has equity. As a realtor in the community, it's my job to provide customer service not just to the houses I'm selling, but to the entire community. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, I just want you to know that I'm here as a resource to you about your home, whether you stay, sell, refinance, or none of the above. I'm here to help you. I'll tell you, take the barriers down. People are afraid of being hard sold, but when you show them that you're here to serve them and provide support, wow, you build a client for the future and also a referral source that they'll broadcast who you are to everybody they know. Next thing that you should do is establish a farm and own it. A lot of people have poo-pooed the whole concept of geographic farming, finding an area that is a place where you can get yourself known and branded in. Now, what is a farm? A farm is basically about 1,000 or more doors, and it's a place that has enough turnover. The turnover rate should be at least 5%, 7 to 8% is even better. And you can calculate the turnover rate. I have some tools and techniques to show you how to do turnover rate analysis. You can do it on the MLS, but there's some things that you can do that are even better. So this is something I coach my agents on and be happy to help you on to help you be more successful. Once you establish a farm, you should mail quarterly to everybody in it. And the best way to do that is every door direct mail. Every door direct mail is a service of the Postal Service that basically does what it says. It mails to everybody in a carrier route. And you do it, the rate is 16 cents a piece. Alternate that with flyer drops quarterly. Now, if you put a flyer out, and I have some sample flyers that I can share with you, if you put a flyer out quarterly, you alternate it, and you pick the time of the year that works the best. Don't do it. December is not a good time to do it, obviously, but certain times of the year when the market's moving. If you do this in about 3 to 4 months, people are going to think you've been doing it forever. They're going to expect your flyer drops. In the last market, I did this with equity information. I would go door to door and hand them out. I would knock on the door and give it to them. And they would expect me to come. They would look for the update every month. They wanted to hear from me. The other thing you can do is opportunistic door knocking in your farm. Every property that's just sold, you need to be the person telling the neighbors about it. Not the listing agent, not the other agent. Get out there and knock on every door in your farm, and you're the expert, whether you sold the house or not. So let's move on to some black belt strategies. When I say black belt, I'm talking about being at a place where you are able to show some excellence and you're able to move things at a high level that is going to be absolutely amazing and propel you into the top producing category. So black belt strategies. The first thing that we want to do, can we move the slide over to the next slide, please? The first black belt strategy is to be there first with the most. When I say that, you need to show up either at their door or with a mailing with top quality information. Does that mean you have to hire a special printer that will print everything out for you? Not necessarily. Sometimes you can just print things on your own home printer, but be there with the best information, whether it's graphs and charts, and when you do your market analysis, give them the information they need, not just a quick overview. Secondly, you want to do a relentless follow-up on everybody that you talk to. When I say relentless, I don't mean harassing or irritating or too much, but make sure that when you touch somebody, make sure you're going to follow up on them several times during the year if they haven't sold yet. Make sure that you stay in contact with them. Don't all of a sudden, arrive at December of next year and you haven't followed up on them. The next thing you want to do is know your numbers and stick to a follow-up plan with them. Stick to your numbers. For each person you talk to, a good rule of thumb, for each person you talk to per day, you should have a listing. When I say that, I mean you have to talk to if you talk to one new person a day for the rest of the year, that usually equates to one listing per year. I don't know if you want one listing or more, but the experts say that if you want 30 listings, talk to 30 new decision-making adults a day, whether that's through your sphere of influence, through door knocking, through contacting people that have found you online, but talk to people. That's how you get your numbers down. Identify how much time it will take you to do this and all the tasks needed, and block it on your schedule and allow for no interruptions. These are the black belt strategies that will cause you to win. And then finally, print your business plan and your goals and look at them every day. If you don't do that, you'll drift away from them and you will be unable to continue on with perseverance at a level that will cause you to be a top producer. So in conclusion, I'm happy to offer further advice and consultation. You can find me on Facebook. You can send me a Facebook message. You can email me. You can call me on my cell phone. Believe it or not, I'd be happy to answer my cell phone for you. I'm really excited about the opportunity to help agents. It's what I do. It's what I enjoy. I do it all day long, and if I can help you in any way, let me know. And I'm going to hand this back to TC and take it from there.
Okay. Now's the time for question and answers. We'll interact with you live. Jeff has promised to give us some time here today to answer direct questions if you have them. So what you'll need to do is, using your control panel, that's to the right, you need to either raise your hand or click the questions button and type in your question, and give me a moment to read questions and then, of course, read them to Jeff so that he can have an opportunity to answer. So one moment while I queue up questions. Okay, Mark Simone has a question. His question is, can you explain the turnover rate analysis more?
Okay. So every neighborhood has a turnover rate. So there are going to be some neighborhoods where the average home will sell once every 5 years, once every 7. Most homes that sell on a rapid level are in areas that they typically are newer, or areas that are gentrifying where the prices are going up. So there's a couple of tools that you can use. One of the tools that I use is a site called Melissa Data. And if you want to find that site, I'll give you the address for it. It's melissadata.com. And there's a bunch of free lists in there. What you do with that is you look for a zip code. There's a zip code list, and one of the free ones is that you can actually search in each zip code and find out how many homes sold in that particular zip code. Then what you do is you go into a program like Realist or some other program that you can use to identify how many homes are in that zip code. You can also use the site for the Postal Service that has the Every Door direct mail site. You can use that site, and you can find out how many homes are in the zip code or doors are in the zip code. You divide that number of sales into the amount of doors, and you get the percentage of how many homes have sold in that zip code. You just do that until you check a few zip codes and you find out what the turnover rate is. And then what you want to do is find the sweet spot between turnover rate. And by the way, this tool actually gives you the average purchase price for those homes that were sold. So is it 100% accurate? Probably not, but it's pretty close. It's got a lot of good information, and it includes sales that are not on the MLS. It's based on stuff that's recorded at the county.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers that, but that's basically how you do it.
Hector Hagora asked, how were you able to create the Zestimate webpage?
Okay, what I did is I have a website, and on my website there's a feature that allows you to build a form, and that form is where they fill in the data. And what I did is I took the domain name of my site and the actual extension, which is actually the page name, and I went to GoDaddy.com and I registered Zestimate.com at GoDaddy, and then I did what's called a forward to that page on my site from Zestimate.com, and it forwards and lands there. So there are also other ways to do this. If you don't have a website, there's free form services that are out there. Google Forms, you can make forms with Google. You can also embed those forms into websites. And there's a number of services out there that allow you to build forms for free. You can do this without a web developer, and it just is a place to collect their information and for you to tell your story about what you do. It's quite easy, and it's pretty effective too.
Okay. A. West asked, how do you adjust this strategy for markets where people are seldom home, i.e. vacation market?
Where people are seldom home, as far as wanting to do valuations, that's a great question, because if people have a different tax address than their property address, if it's a second home or all that, you can usually get your title company, depending on what part of the country you're in, you can get them to run a farm for you. And if you can't get it from them, Realist, if you use that and wherever you're at, whatever your program that your MLS interfaces with that pulls up tax recorded data, information on properties, you should be able to find non-resident properties, and you can mail to them. You can also, if there's a homeowners association there, you can talk to people there, and sometimes you can, it depends on the community and how open they are and what they're doing. Sometimes you can talk or find somebody there or that will talk to you, or sometimes there's events, sales events, things like that, or if you have the opportunity to hold an open house in an area like that, that's another way to acquire people that are in an area like that, to sometimes neighbors and all that. When you're promoting, especially if it's a gated community, when you hold an open house, it gives you the opportunity to market inside of a gated community. So those are some ways you can do that. And then most people that live or own, vacation properties, they really do want to know what their homes are worth, because they're not there to monitor it on a regular basis.
Okay. Pat Winterstein asked, how much time do you, underline, bold, parentheses, take to talk to 30 people per day?
The morning, between 9 and 11, between 8:30, 10:30, it's just 2 to 3 hours a day is what it's going to take to talk to 30 people.
Okay. Do you incorporate Craigslist marketing with any of these strategies? And if so, how successful has it been?
I haven't done Craigslist ad for listings. I've done it for buyers.
Okay.
But I think it's a great idea. I've never even thought about it.
in one moment. And this Don Betts is asking you to repeat repeat the web address. So I'm assuming he's referring to your Zestimate.
Yeah, it's just J. Well, you want to put it up on the screen there, or it might be better if it's live, then they can write it down.
Okay. What I'll do on your.
You know what? Email me. Why don't you just email me? Why don't you email me for it? And that, because I want to make sure that we take it down right. Just email it jeff@allisonjames.info, and that way I can send it to you direct as a link.
Okay. Tamara Fashandi is asking, besides a radius search, what other tools do you use to come up with a more custom search?
To find, I need to know a little bit more about the question. Is it to find the houses in an area or to decide on the farm? Is that what you're looking for?
That would be my assumption. So if we want
Okay.
to try to take a crack at that,
It's pretty easy to do that, because on these search tools, most of them have mapping and they have a satellite view, and without any effort at all, you can see the difference in the subdivisions. Like if you want to market to a brand new, or let's say an area that's built since 2001 or whatever, something like that, you can tell by the color of the roofs and the housing stock is homogeneous. It all looks the same. That's the kind of farms that I go after, is stuff like that, where there's a similarity in the housing. So you can do it by looking at that way, and you can also, I definitely recommend driving it. Drive through it, walk through it, and learn the parameters of that area. And then also check the carrier routes on the Postal Service. When a new subdivision is built, it's usually one big carrier route.
Julianne Young is asking about open houses and can you incorporate those into what you've discussed today, and or are they outdated?
Absolutely not. In fact, the last listing I took was from an open house, in which, this is a great story. You're going to love this. The homeowner came to my open house and she said, "Wow, I really like this house that you've got on the market, but I'm not buying. I'm interested in selling, and I already have my house on the market." And I said, "Well, I can't talk to you about listing your house because you have it listed with somebody else. But let me tell you what we do, just for fun." And I showed her on the iPad. I showed her the pictures of the houses. Look, we use professional photography. We market the house. And she says, "Really? Wow, this is great." So I said, "Well, how long have you been on the market?" She said, "Oh, it's about like 5 months," which is ridiculous because we just came through a really fast market and it should have sold. I said, well, what are you listed at? And she gave me her price, and I got the idea where she was at. So I took her price without asking her, because she's listed. I took her price, put it in the MLS, pulled up her property, got the tax record, and I wrote her a thank you card. "Hi, so-and-so. Thank you for coming to my open house and talking to me about real estate. Sure nice meeting you." Next day, after she got it, she gets a hold of me and says, "Oh my God, I can't believe how thorough you are. You got a hold of me. You found me." I didn't get her last name. I didn't get her email or her phone number, but I was able to track her down. That's just one example of reaching out to people, and I offered to do a market analysis for her, and I got her house listed at about $30,000 less than she had it listed before. The other thing you can do is, everybody that comes to your market or to your open house, if they're not interested in buying your house, if they're just like the nosy neighbor, they're perfect for this category. So, how would you like to know what your home's worth and have an update once a quarter? And I've never had anybody tell me no. So it's pretty fantastic. Absolutely, open houses are great.
Okay. This appears to be a friend, Jeff. This is from Grace Morioka. Jeff, what is the best way to determine a customized value for a home that is different from an automated version? By the way, proud to have you as my broker.
Proud to be your broker. The best way to do it is the two-step approach. Is tell people, look, this is the average that the market is doing, and I need to come to your home, because it does two things. It gives you the ability to show the market analysis based on CMA results, and also trends. You can show them how the market's trending. But in order for this to be really complete, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'd like to come to your home and analyze if it's possible to maximize the value of your home and to put you in a competitive advantage above and beyond the people that are on this report, which is an average report. This is the average of the sales. So then you go to their house and you look for anything that can help. And you want to be realistic. You're not going to put their house on a market at a price that won't allow it to sell. But if there's any way to have, at that point, a realistic conversation about pricing, then you've got them at that point. And that's really what you want to do. Just giving them the value is not enough. You want to have dialogue with them.
And this is the last call for questions. We're right up against it. There are literally dozens of questions and requests that revolve around people want copies of the email template. People want copies of the flyer drop template that you use. I can speak to the PowerPoint and the recording. We'll have a recording live in a few days. Normally they're up by Fridays. But Jeff, how can they get a copy of the templates that you used in today's presentation?
Well, the best way to do that is well, there's a couple ways. Facebook. Send me a Facebook friend request because I'd like to see what you're doing. It helps me too. Or email me. If you call me, I may be out in the field or not able to take the call. But if you do need to talk, I'd love to talk to you about your business and what you're doing. But feel free to get a hold of me with any of these methods that are here on the screen because it's kind of funny. You know, some people like fishing, some people like different activities. I love talking about real estate and how to help people with their business. So feel free to get a hold of me. We can get you that information, and if you just need templates and all that, I'm happy to provide them.
Okay. And that's yeah, lots of questions. We're right at our time, so any questions that were unanswered, we will do our best to get answered to you through another means. So definitely friend Jeff and get on the list for email follow-ups. With that, we'll turn the floor over to Mr. Jeff Jabora. He's the one of the recruiting directors for Allison James and National Growth in the National Growth and Development Department. So we just want to give him a moment just to have any last closing remarks and to end our webinar on a high note today. Jeff, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, TC. Good morning or good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much for attending. We're glad to have you to see what we have going on here. As you can see, Jeff Green is a phenomenal broker, very, very well experienced in the industry. And we have a lot of great things going on with Allison James Estates and Homes here as a brokerage. We are a 100% brokerage. We do give our agents 100% of their commission. If you are interested in learning more about the brokerage, please contact me directly. My contact information is right here on the slide. Join us at agicorporate.com, or you can reach me via telephone at 941-677-2544. I'd love to talk with you about the brokerage and answer any questions that you may have. We are nationwide as well. So I look forward to hearing from you all soon, and thank you very much for attending.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We appreciate this time today, and the webinar has now officially concluded. Thank you.